that continues to be a vital program as a part of the fire division. Moving on to page 5, the reserve division. Shane over the years has commented on that, and I cannot underscore the importance of those folks. They provide an incredibly valuable resource to us to augment or supplement all the career staff. There are many times that the station would be empty as we're going to back-to-back calls if these folks were not there to respond, and they do an incredible job to help us with that endeavor. Bottom of that page, we kind of begin to talk about the prevention aspects of the department, the Prevention Bureau. Roughly 6,600 inspections performed over the past fiscal year. If you look at the bar graph on the bottom down there, it would illustrate that this last year was the lowest dollar loss in fire loss that we've had in the last 5 years. So obviously it's nice to see those numbers on the low end, so we're pleased that we had a year without major incident in terms of total dollar loss. Some various graphs going through the document there that talk about types of permits and so forth. Often people like to look at the variations that come from a 10-year perspective. If you look up at the bottom of page 7, the red bar graph there kind of illustrates where the total number of permits have been issued over the past decade. And you can see that kind of peaked in 2005, and then probably directly proportionate to the economy. The total numbers have leveled off the last 4 years in that 382, 385, 375 range. So as those numbers tend to be cyclical and kind of come up and down as the economy goes and comes, we expect that to return as some of those other things strengthen. So, but it does provide a pretty good illustration of where we've been over the past 10 years. Some major items of note that we're working on. Shane had negotiated a 12-year contract with the Rural Fire Protection District. That comes to sunset in June of next year. We're working with the Rural Board to establish a new contract and put forth the terms of that contract over the next period of years. Contained in that document and in our capital improvement program is the purchase of 2 vehicles that will service the rural area, a rural pumper and a grass rig that would ultimately come from those negotiations. So we will be working on the replacement of those, and there's a committee established within the division to look at the specifications on those 2 new trucks. So we are fully staffed at this present time. I have nothing but good things to say about the people and the men and women of Norfolk Fire. I'm proud to have the privilege to serve them and work on behalf of all of you, and I would answer any questions you might have about this report.
Thanks, Scott. Council, any comments or questions of him?
Mayor, I was just wondering, Chief, do you think the lower fire loss has to do with the new fire chief, or?
Well, yeah, that would probably be a stretch, boss.
I wanted to ask.
Where credit's due, Scott.
I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to offend anyone.
No, I think we just got lucky this year. So we'll hope that that's a part of good work. It really is a reflection of a lot of public education outcry. It's a direct reflection on the quality of the contractors in this community and the good work that they're doing, building quality structures, wiring safe electrical systems and mechanical systems, and all those things add up to what it appears to be a national trend for a decrease in fire loss. So I think we match the national trends. I was at a seminar recently where NFPA brought their new statistics out. Many of those are mirrored excuse me, here in Norfolk in terms of some of those downward trends in total calls for fire loss. There were some alarming numbers in there that would indicate although there are fewer structure fires, those that are occurring are more deadlier than in the past year. So what had leveled off in a rapid decrease in total fatalities in 1 and 2 family dwellings is starting to rise again, and that's more about what we do inside those homes and what we put inside those homes and how they're built, because we know they're being built very, very safely. But we're pleased to see those numbers continue to go down. We hope they stay down, and I certainly won't take credit for those numbers, Chief, on your behalf. So
seriously though, Chief, I do have a question. I heard your presentation to the Elkhorn Valley Mutual Aid District, and if you remember off the top of your head, and you hinted towards it, can you tell the council and the community a little bit about flashover and the speed of what we're seeing that out in the field and what FPA statistics have been telling us over the last 10 or 20 years?
Certainly, Shane, I'd be glad to. Very alarming statistics come, as I told you. The thing that, I guess, to put it in simple perspective, if you can turn back the dial in time to 1975, just picture where you were in life in 1975 and think about what was happening then. The average survival time in a one or two family dwelling for all of us in our homes where we live. The average survival time, if there was a fire, was about 17 minutes, just a little over 17 minutes. From first flame till that space was non-tenable anymore and you had no ability to escape on your own and get outside, the average national statistic in 1975 was 17 minutes. Today, which just alarmed me significantly, that number has dropped to just over 3 minutes. And although we continue to talk about how well the quality of the new construction is, there's been a major change in the way we construct and create and build the interior finishings inside the house. The furnishings, what the furniture is made out of, the draperies, the wall coverings, all of those things have a synthetic nature to them. They're not big, bulky, massive common elements that we used to see, and so the things that we're putting in the home burn hotter and burn faster. And because of that, flashover, that time when the whole entire contents of the room become essentially fully involved from wall to wall and ceiling to floor, happens so much sooner. So we have great homes being built, great homes being remodeled, great homes being taken care of, and then we put people inside there with stuff that burns fast. And unfortunately, that's the part that goes straight to the point of those fires being deadlier, and the statistics don't lie. And so it's a concern, and when I got those statistics, I cautioned the men and women at the division that we just have to be careful about making those entries into those dwellings when you don't know, when you're unsure what that advanced burn time is and what's going on in that space. So it forces us all to be diligent about how we take care of ourselves at home so that we don't become one of those statistics. So it was an alarming number for me, and it certainly scared me that of all the good things that are happening, there certainly are some concerns about what we're putting in the home and how they're being manufactured out there. So it's just something we have to pay attention to and try to stay ahead of. So.
Yeah, see, I would have expected it to go the other way that time. I mean, 3 minutes is not very long. Wow.
Yep.
A lot more things made out of plastic instead of metal, and
Certainly, and that goes straight to the heart of the issue. It's those hydrocarbons, those plastic-based products that burn and are aggressive smoke generators very, very quickly early on in the fire. So the space becomes untenable and flashover occurs so much sooner. So Shane, I appreciate you bringing that up. It's an important point. It's a good reminder for all of us to just take care of ourselves at home. So
Good education piece. Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments?
Due to the fact that the flashover thing is reduced from 17 minutes to 3 minutes, do we have any data or statistics on survival rate for occupants?
Well, it's directly proportionate, Jim. I think there was about 40 seconds difference between, I think they were saying statistically your chances of survival were just over 3 minutes, about 3:40, about 3 minutes and 40 seconds into it that flashover was going to occur. So there's very little time where they suspect that you're either going to have inhaled enough smoke inhalation or the flames became so rapid spreading that just prior to that flashover point that you would have a chance to get out. So those numbers are almost at exactly the same place. I think there's 40 seconds separating the two. So the survival rate is just over 3 and flashover is occurring at 340. So, and obviously when you're talking about temperatures near 2,000 degrees, you're not going to survive a flashover under any condition.
I can appreciate that, but I guess that's not really addressing what I'm asking.
Okay.
At least maybe I'm not asking it correctly. I'm thinking about numbers of individuals that are survivors as opposed to what they may have been in 1975 and what the numbers of survivals are as of the current date.
are you talking fatalities?
I'm talking about fatalities or people. I guess my point is, what I'm trying to establish is that I think that we may be counteracting this survival from flashover by some other things that we've mandated by codes, such as smoke detectors.
Sure.
And the fact that not only now do we demand smoke detectors in the premises, but they always have to be not only hardwired but battery backup, so that the smoke detectors are more prevalent. And I'm just wondering if this hasn't had an effect on the survival rate of occupants.
Well, Councilman, an excellent question, and I apologize for misunderstanding you right away. through my nearly 30 years in this business, the one thing that I could always talk about was the survivability with the presence of smoke detectors, and that's a legitimate issue that nobody can argue has made a difference. Here's the thing that scares me, that goes right to this issue, and I don't know exactly statistically where that at. You saw, starting in the early 1900s, a rapid decline of fire fatalities, and now they've leveled off and they're starting to go like this again. And here's the concern. I remember a day not too many years ago where the state fire marshal proclaimed this: no one has ever died in the state of Nebraska that had a working smoke detector. That was a claim that they made for years and years, and that was just widely spread throughout the fire service. Here's the thing that scared me when I got the NFPA statistics this year. Of all the fire fatalities last year, 40% of them in 1- and 2-family dwellings were inside a home that had a working smoke detector. So what it tells me is, even with the smoke detector, it's not always enough. Even with that, the response time to get up, react, and get out is less. And so I think there's a critical correlation there. And of course, the statistics will also say that the young and the elderly are the most at risk. Their ability to hop up and run out the same way that others might is just compromised a little bit. So 40% of the fatalities occurred in homes that had working smoke detectors. That's a major trend in the other direction, where it would appear to me that we're building very, very safe homes. We're just not being real good about what we put inside there that's causing that rapid fire progression early on, that even the smoke detector in and of itself isn't enough. But up to that point, there had been a gradual spiral downturn in total fire fatalities with the presence of more smoke detectors. And once they made them interconnected the way you spoke about and have the battery backup, was a major, major improvement in the industry that has been a godsend for sure. So I think we're reaching a place where we might have to do more, and that may be years down the road, but we may have to find another way to combat that in a different manner. But the statistics just kind of catch you and make you take note. So it's just something for us to plan for and think about and prepare for as we're doing our education element. So.
Well, thank you for your report and your explanation. I think that clarifies things a great deal.
Anyone else? Scott, again, thanks
you.
for being here. We appreciate all of us, as well as this community, what it is that you've stepped up to take over for us, and we look for continued professionalism in your efforts, because we certainly have seen them this far.
Thank you.
So, safe travels.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Okay, with that, how about a recreation update?
Dennis and I will shoot that towards you. The biggest change down there is really the multi-use building is really taking effect. The flag is the section of concrete wall that had the flag and the slogan "Freedom is not free" is in place and looking spectacular. And obviously, what it represents for our veterans, our local veterans, the veterans that served our country here for the Norfolk area is really what the whole Veterans Memorial Park is about. So I know the mayor was anxiously waiting for that day, and as well as I was, and many of the community was. So that's the biggest change down there. Continue to pour the concrete. Contractors are working hard on that, but the weather is changing a little bit. Obviously, it's cold out there, and I know they're going to continue to work through the winter the best of their ability and get things closed in and start on the interior of those structures. So it's progressing along. Dennis?
Nothing more.
Questions?
So they are going to keep moving along and try and box them in and maybe cover themselves to get them boxed in? Keep going all the way?
Yes, absolutely. They got to keep on trucking along, otherwise they won't get her done, I don't think. So we're going to keep moving on through the winter.
I would think that a couple of things I'll be working on diligently here in the next couple of weeks is trying to get a roof on that multi-purpose building. All of the walls are up. The precast is all in place as of last Friday. So once they get a roof on, then they can close in the openings and get some heat in there and continue working there. I've also been working on the utilities under the floor in the mechanical building, and they need to hope for some more 30-degree days so they can get that floor poured. That'll be critical to the process being done by spring. So continue to work on the baseball stadium some this past 2 weeks too.
Okay. Any other questions at all, Council? If not, then let's move to the regular agenda, and I would ask for consideration and approval of acknowledgement of J.H. Hespy as a low bidder for the household hazardous waste facility, and then to authorize the city staff to negotiate with Hesby since the bid exceeds the engineer's estimate.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to excuse myself from the podium regarding either discussion or action on this item.
So be it, Jim. Thanks.
I would make the motion, Your Honor.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Gary, do you have anything you want to? Okay. That being said, any discussion by this council at all before?
Who will be doing the negotiations?
We will. We will.
See,
City staff will work on with the negotiations. There's a statute, and Clint, you correct me where I misspeak, but there's a statute that allows for when bids come in over the engineers and architects' estimate, and the bids come in higher than that, there's a statute that allows for the local municipality to negotiate with the low bidder. In this case, obviously, we have a low bidder, and we feel as staff has been meeting and pouring through the documents and meeting with the engineers, trying to understand where and why the bids came in as high as they did. And we've found some things that we can change and modify and hopefully lower that dollar number, and then we'll negotiate and see if we can reach a consensus with the low bidder. If not, we'll probably have to be in a place where we'd rebid.
Okay.
Gary, was there any one item one big hitter? I mean, that's about 33% higher than.
No, there were several items. Something in the economy apparently is changing on construction costs. It's an absurd amount to be over on a bid. We thought 197 was a good engineering estimate. We don't. Everything was high, and I don't know if that's the economy or the industry or what's happening. But we'll have to cut some things out of the building. It's possible we can just lower the amount of product that we're storing, and we can get under some sprinkler requirements or some other things. But of course, there's a downside to that. If you're not storing as much, you need to bring people in to collect more often, so that's more expense in the operation. So those are the types of things we'll go through and try to work out.
Thanks.
Any other questions while Gary's there? If not, I would ask for your consideration. Please vote on the motion before you.
All council members voting in the affirmative, Councilman Lange abstained, motion carries.
Okay. And with that, no further business. We are adjourned.
I'll make the motion.
Beth, you.